The movie starts with some guy waking up in a weird, unknown room. He gets up, looks around, and has no clue where he is. Then he walks over to one of the hatches, opens it, and sees an identical room on the other side. He checks another hatch, and there's another room, but this one's red. He decides to climb through the third hatch he opens. The guy drops into the next room, takes one step, and freezes. Blood starts pouring out of him, and then he just falls apart into pieces. At the end, we see a grid that sliced him up. In the next scene, Quentin crawls through a hatch and finds Worth passed out. Worth comes to, and right then, a hatch in their room starts to open. Quentin waits for the person opening it and nearly pushes her down. At the last second, he realizes she's in the same mess as him. A few seconds later, they hear a woman's voice calling for help. In the next room, they spot a girl and help her climb into their room. A minute later, another stranger named Ren shows up from above. Quentin says they need to be careful. This maze is full of traps, and in one room, he nearly got his head taken off. Ren takes off his boot, ties the laces together, opens a hatch to another room, and tosses it onto the floor. In a couple of seconds, the boot practically burns to a crisp, and Ren figures the walls have motion detectors built in. After introductions, they try to remember how they got here, but no one recalls anything. They guess maybe the government built this place. Holloway even suggests it's aliens. Ren says he's not sitting still and will keep going until the end. Quentin agrees, saying if there's an entrance, there's gotta be an exit. They plan to go hatch by hatch, using boots to rule out rooms with traps. The group starts their journey. The next two rooms turn out to be safe. Levin notices strange numbers between the rooms. Holloway, who's a doctor, warns they won't last more than 3 days without food or water. Ren tosses a boot into the next room, and nothing happens. But, catching a whiff of dry air, he says, "There's a trap." Why didn't the sensor react to the boot, Quentin asks. Ren explains it picks up on skin secretions. Then Quentin remembers Ren. Or at least, he's heard of him. Turns out, Ren's some kind of prison escape artist. After checking another room, Ren tells the group he's only sticking with them because he needs their boots. If things go south, he'll ditch them. Then Ren jumps into a room, hears a click, and realizes he's screwed. A jet of acid hits him right in the face, and the hatch slams shut. Ren manages to climb back, but the acid eats away his face, and he dies. Rethinking everything, the group tries to figure out the connection. Why them? How do their jobs tie together? And who's behind this? Quentin tries to rally them, saying there's always a reason to keep fighting, even if they can't see it. Later, Levin suggests that rooms marked with prime numbers have traps, while those with composite numbers are safe. Using that theory, they test a room, and it's trap-free. They spend the next few hours moving room to room. But then they hit a dead end. Every room ahead has traps. Holloway suggests turning back, but Quentin looks up and says they haven't checked one hatch yet. He climbs up, opens it, and some guy falls out. The stranger gets up, starts banging his head on the wall, and rambles nonsense. Holloway thinks something's off with his head. They're shocked he's even survived in here. Then he starts climbing back into the room he fell from. Later, at another hatch, Levin checks the number and says it's not prime, so the room should be safe. Quentin steps in and triggers a trap. He manages to jump out, only getting a leg wound. Levin's confused. The number was definitely composite, but there was still a trap. Quentin starts suspecting Worth is involved with the maze. After a heated argument, Worth shouts that there's no way out, accidentally revealing he had a hand in building it. He admits he designed the outer shell, but has no idea what's inside or who's behind it all. Quentin loses it and starts beating Worth, but the girls stop him. Levin questions Worth about the cube. He says there's only one door, but he doesn't know where it is. He also gives her the cube's dimensions. Levin calculates there could be over 17,000 rooms. Then she realizes the numbers are coordinates. Decoding one number, she says there's 7 rooms from the edge. Dodging death with their old tricks, they hit a room where every side has a trap, but Quentin refuses to backtrack and loop around. He suggests sneaking past a sound-activated trap. Worth goes first. He quietly reaches the next hatch and checks the room. Levin follows, then Holloway, then Kazan. Quentin goes last. He makes it through, but not without a scare. Quentin's starting to lose it. First, he snaps at the helpless guy who almost got him killed in the last room. Then Holloway provokes him and he hits her in the face. They open a hatch, hoping to see sunlight, but it's just emptiness. Worth instantly recognizes the outer shell he designed. Quentin suggests tying their clothes into a rope so he can climb down and find the exit. But Holloway insists she should go since she weighs way less. Holloway climbs down as far as she can but sees nothing. She asks them to hold her tighter so she can swing to another wall. Something like an earthquake hits and she nearly falls. Quentin grabs the rope just in time to hold her. Holloway climbs back up and grabs Quentin's hand. She thinks she's safe, but Quentin flips out and lets go of her hand, and she falls. He tells the others she just slipped. Exhausted, the group lies down to sleep. Quentin takes Worth's last boot, picks up a sleepy Levin, and carries her to another room. He's completely lost it, rambling nonsense. Then he attacks her, but Worth steps in. In the conversation, they realize he's the one who dropped Holloway. Then a crazed Quentin attacks Worth, beating him with the boot. He opens a hatch and throws him down. Falling, Worth starts laughing loudly. The others climb down and see Ren's body. Turns out they've looped back. Despairing that they're going in circles and accepting there's no way out, Worth gets up and opens another door. He says there's no room here, but it should be the one where Ren hit a trap. So they're not circling, the rooms are moving. Pulling herself together, Levin thinks it over and says she knows where the exit is. She first says the coordinates push the room outside the cube. Then she figures it's a bridge room, but only for a short time. Working out a formula, Levin says the room shifts twice before returning to its original spot, and they still have time. But at any moment, the room could reset, and the cycle would start over. They need to move, but how do they avoid traps? Levin says she thought traps were tied to prime numbers, but she was wrong. They're tied to numbers with prime factors, but she can't calculate those. The numbers are astronomical. If only they had a computer, she says. But Quentin starts freaking out, demanding she calculate. Suddenly, Kazan spits out a number. Levin checks it, and they realize he's a genius. Kazan calculates the numbers on the hatches, and Levin guesses the room should be safe. Quentin says there's only one way to find out, and tosses Worth into the room. It's actually trap-free. They start moving through rooms, with Quentin still threatening them. In one room, Worth traps Quentin's head with a door, and they try to escape. But they don't get far before he catches up. Quentin doesn't notice an open hatch and falls through. The others keep going. After passing dozens of rooms, they find the one they started in. Levin realizes this room was practically the exit. She was right, they just had to wait. The room starts shaking, and when it settles, they open a hatch and see the so-called bridge room. The final door opens, and a bright white light floods the room. Somehow, Quentin catches up. He stabs Levin with a hatch handle, then wounds Worth. Kazan climbs out, followed by Quentin, but Worth grabs his leg, stopping him from escaping. The room starts moving, and Quentin gets crushed against the wall. In the next shot, we see the bridge room drop to the bottom, with Worth and Levin inside. Meanwhile, Kazan steps out and walks toward the white light. And that's how Cube ends. The movie really hooked me. The traps, the paranoia, and the oppressive vibe of the cube keep you on edge, but the ending leaves you with a ton of questions and mixed feelings. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Awesome for its time, but not a masterpiece.